Welcome to Books, Booze, and Murder, Campfire Chats. I'm Anna.
I'm Alexa.
And we're two besties who love to read and, like many, have a fascination with true crime. And of course, as we mentioned in our first Campfire Chats, it's summer. We have a little bit more free time on our hands, so we figured we'd compare notes on books that we've both read, or talk about books we've read individually, and, yeah, campfires represent summer for where we live.
Mm-hmm.
So with that said, let's jump on in. We kind of joined more of the social media movement after more than one request for, do you have a TikTok account?
Kind of joined.
Kind of joined. We officially have a TikTok account.
I don't know how to work it.
I know, I've been doing all the work. I'm like, Alexa needs help, so I'll just do it.
I can't. I'm like, I feel like an old person saying that, but I'm just like, no, thank you from me, no TikToks. Like, because I have way too many kids that are like, this TikTok dance and that TikTok dance and TikTok this and TikTok that, and I'm just like, I'm over it.
No, I'm not going to do TikTok dance. I'm more in, like, if you've discovered us already, you kind of know what I'm talking about. It's like when you have the voiceover, and then you're just going along with it.
Oh, I know.
So, like, I think the first one I thought was funny was go to a random book, which I just finished reading, the third ACOTAR book, and it was like, go to page 30, and that describes your sex life. And I was like, oh, what? So I thought it was really funny.
Okie dokie then. There you go.
But, yeah, so that is a Books, Booze, Murder pod. Originally, it was just Books, Booze, Murder to keep things consistent, and I was like, wait a second, if people have never heard of us, and, like, I'm following them, they're probably like, what is this? So I was like, okay, let's make it a little bit more transparent. But either way, we're officially on TikTok. I'll still be sharing stuff to our Instagram, just so we can be nerds.
I prefer the gram, but I'm gonna whatever. Don't care.
I mean, it's a matter of everything eventually goes to the gram anyway.
I know. I'm the 30-year-old who will get TikTok secondhand on the gram. Yeah. I accept that. It's fine.
Oh, I'm not getting a personal TikTok. That's not happening. I purposely have just this TikTok. It's not expanding. I'm not doing it.
Okay, good.
Can't make me.
Sweet. I love it. It's a great idea.
But either way, that's our big announcement for this episode. Mm-hmm. With that said, I figured I'd start off with the Briar U series because
nice little smutty college series.
You got me stuck on this shit. And if newer listeners don't know what I'm talking about, we did an episode earlier this year that was The Deal, which was the first book in... It's not Briar U. Do you remember what it was?
Off Campus.
Yes, in the Off Campus series. Mm-hmm. And then the Briar U series is a spin-off with some of the minor characters from that. Have you read those yet?
No, I have only read the first two of the Off Campus series. So it was The Deal and The Mistake? Something?
Oh!
Yeah, I've only read the first two.
I don't think I realized that. Yeah, so you haven't read The Score.
No. I don't think so.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so that one was Allie, Hannah's best friend. Wait, that's the spiciest one of them all.
Okay, so I gotta go and read that one.
It's on Libby.
Okay, I will find that one.
Wait a second.
Let's see if I can find it right now.
I think I got it specifically through the New York Public Library.
I have that one for the New York Public Library because I gotta say, I love our local bookstores. They just don't have the big selection that the New York Public Library does. They just don't. I'm sorry.
Well, I mean, for Elle Kennedy, there's really not a lot in general in our area of her books. Like, there's a book that I want to read, and with our library system, both New York Public Library and our local library, I can only find one hardcover copy of it, and I have to get it requested from another library in the area.
Yeah,
so
I get it.
So it's pretty limited. But yeah, no, The Score... Yes.
Got it.
That is the spiciest of them all.
Okay.
Because it's Allie and Dean.
So I think the reason that I was very hesitant about... reading that one originally was because I read the description of it and it sounded like they were changing Dean's character completely from the crazy sex crazed party boy to I'm gonna do the right thing all of a sudden, and I was like, oh, don't do that.
Yeah. No. He definitely is the wild child at first. Yeah, for sure. Definitely the wild child. Something happens in playing hockey where he's like, fuck, and he gets put into this situation he doesn't want to be in.
Mm-hmm.
But he realizes some things change, and that's kind of how that gets spurred. But let me tell you, Allie is not really mentioned in the first book all that much. I mean, she's a friend. She's got a wild side.
I feel like I knew that. Because she's not mentioned much in the second book at all.
Probably not.
I don't think at all, because it doesn't follow Hannah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the first book follows Hannah, and Allie is Hannah's roommate.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah, because she's dating some other guy at that point.
Yes.
Got it.
Yep.
Got it.
Yeah. So either way, yeah, we're both drinking a beer. Probably it's a good start, because that's what college kids drink is beer.
Yeah, I feel the college coming back with the shock top.
Yep. Yeah. You have shock top and I have a Corona. Welcome to summer. But yeah, no. So, these books that I just read, the Brower U books, they're the spin-off. So the first one I read a few weeks ago was The Chase, and that's Dean's younger sister.
Okay.
With the hockey player on the team that's more of a nerd. That's more level-headed Fitzy.
I don't know him yet.
Okay. The Risk is the one that features... Oh, so The Risk kind of goes a little bit crazy because have you met Brenna yet?
No.
Oh, yeah, that's why. Brenna doesn't come in until... Oh, girl, you have so much to catch up on. Holy shit.
Oh,
so,
good gracious.
Brenna comes in during The Chase.
Okay.
I'm not going to ruin who Brenna is because you're going to be like, whoa.
Alrighty.
But Brenna starts dating a Harvard hockey player.
Oh.
And that's pretty cool. And then you have the play, which after a while I read them back to back to back. So, Hunter, he's the freshman or sophomore or whatever that Dean kind of took under his wing a little bit during Dean's book, I think.
Okay, that would make sense.
So, Hunter is featured in the play.
Okay.
And then the Dare is another minor character. His name is Connor. I'm trying to remember what his personality was like. And then a whole other new girl, like, transfers in, if I remember correctly. Again, they all just blur. But I definitely was going nuts over those, because I was like, fuck it, I just read that third book that was of the ACOTAR series that was 700 pages, and I was like, I need something quick, I need something smutty, I need this. And I think I read those in a matter of 3 days. Wow. 3 days.
There you go.
I mean, it's a matter of just not wanting to do responsibility work.
Oh my god. Yes.
And then I will say with the off-campus series, they had The Legacy, and so many people have been tearing that apart. So I've been afraid to read it. And then one of my TNFT friends was like, I really liked it, but keep in mind, I've already read The Graham Effect. Have you heard of that one?
I've heard of it, and I want to read it, because I've heard that's a really good one, actually.
Yeah. So that ties in with The Legacy, because it's Garrett and Hannah's story years later.
Got it. Okay, I need to read that one, then, because they are my favorite. They are, hands down, they're already my favorite couple, because Garrett just goes through so much shit. I love it so much.
Yeah. So when my friend had said that she was like, "Oh yeah, I like it because I've read The Graham Effect. I know all of that." I'm like, "Okay, now I have to give it a try, and I have to figure out how to get my hands on it." Yeah. Because I don't know how I'm gonna do that with what's available. But yeah, so that's what I've been reading lately. What about you?
So I just was on vacation, quote unquote, I'll say. I went and I visited my grandmother, and so of course my grandmother is surrounded by my aunt and my cousins, and a lot of the time it's a little too chaotic, but let's just say this was just not vacation. It was never intended to be a vacation, even though they live down south. It was never going to be a vacation. It was there to go and help grandma. But it was nice to still be able to go and bring a book with me and just kind of decompress with it all. So I grabbed a hold of The People We Meet on Vacation. Ooh. It's so stinking cute. It's like makes me want to throw up. It's so cute sometimes. And this was actually one of the books I got at the book swap at the end of the school year that we had. Okay. So they were like, all the books were out, and then I was just like, I've heard really good things about this one. I'm grabbing this one before anyone else can. So I got a hold of that book. This book, so much fun. So it starts off with these two people that meet when they are in college, like they're freshmen in college. One of them, and of course I can't remember names to save my life. Literally cannot for the life of me remember. It's fine. But two people, and they have decided that they're going to, and it's like, and they're awkward. Like, the guy is a very awkward person, and the girl is the very outgoing and outspoken and bubbly and has a lot of personality, like someone who I might want to be friends with, but I don't have enough personality to be friends with that person. Got it. They end up like being next door town neighbors. Like one of them is from East Linfield and one of them is from West Linfield, but they did not know each other before. So they end up carpooling home one summer over a break or something, and they end up going on all these vacations together. Okay. So, but it's like cheapo college kid vacations. So it's like they, one of them is they go and they fly down to some location, and then they rent a water taxi, stay in the yard of the water taxi person, stay up until all hours of the night doing God knows what, and sleeping in a tent. Wow. So like that's one of their vacations. And of course the guy is very like conservative, cautious, thinks about things a little too hard sometimes. But it kind of just goes through and how their friendship evolves over every single summer vacation. But it'll jump from like this summer there, and of course there's some turmoil that always comes about. Yeah. Where they like stop talking to each other for a period of time. So it goes to this summer, and it's, I want to plan this trip. And of course the girl is working for a magazine at this point, and she lives in New York City. Like that's the kind of life that she needs. She runs away from her hometown. I feel that. Mm-hmm. Hard feel that. But so like she runs away from her hometown to the city, and then gets wrapped up in, like, she gets paid to go on all these vacations. What? That's her job. Wait. Because she writes for a magazine that's called Rest and Relaxation. So her job basically pays for her to go on all of these super awesome trips so that she can write about them in the magazine, for the magazine. And that's kind of where it all kind of transforms into. And the guy ends up being a English teacher. Oh, I almost got the name. Alex and Poppy. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So Alex is like a high school English teacher, and Poppy is a college dropout that somehow works for Rest and Relaxation and gets to go on all these really cool vacations. And so it kind of goes through their summers of how each of them works and how their friendship evolves throughout the summers. So it's like they talk about the different relationships that they get into. One trip to Tuscany is a great big deep dive into their relationship because they bring their significant others at the time. So it's like, oh, interesting. And then, of course,
they fall in love.
Of course they do.
Shocker.
Are you fucking kidding me? That's always the rub. Yeah. It's always the rub there. Hate to be that spoil sport, but it is a fun little progression of how they see each other every single summer and how kind of everything evolves over time and friendships kind of evolve. And I'm like, I feel that too, because I had a very similar experience with my husband where I was best friends with him first. Yeah. And lo and behold, we're coming up on almost a year of marriage.
Yeah. Yeah, you can relate to that for sure.
I can relate to that.
I remember you were like, I really like him. And I'm like, he really likes you. Take the leap. Do it.
And we did. And now look at us. 4 years later.
Wow. Yeah, you guys got together.
We've been together for 4 years.
Holy shit.
When I lived in Massachusetts still. Yeah. Lord help me.
Crazy. Yeah, I need to get my hands on that book for sure.
Well, I just dropped it off to you.
I know. My to-read list just exploded.
Yeah, I figured as much.
Yeah, because that's one of those Emily Henry books where I saw it in the library and I was like, I currently have 4 books in my arms. I'll just borrow it from Alexa because there's no, you need to return it by this date.
Yes. Yes.
So, with that said, one of the books that I actually did just borrow, and I'm going to give you a spoiler because, well, it's not worth your time to read, to be honest with you.
I know, there are some books that are like that where I'm just like...
Yeah. So, one of the books I just borrowed from the library was Margot's Got Money Troubles, and this just came out not that long ago. Like, it's so new to the library where it's still in the you can only borrow it for 7-day period.
Wow.
Yeah.
Because there's that many people that want to borrow it?
Well, it's that new.
Right. Okay.
I think with newer books like that, that's what they do first before it goes into massive circulation. So I had discovered this book on Goodreads because that's what I do with my TNFT classes is one of them. I read descriptions, and this one sounded funny, and it just kept saying, oh, it's hysterical. Like, the cover says, an audacious, wildly funny, completely unpredictable novel by a writer so singular that it's hard to compare her to anyone else. Mm-hmm. So I was very excited about it.
High hopes.
It was not, no. Like, it was very disappointing. So basically, this is how I am starting to describe it. If you're in your early 20s, and you're really heavily involved in making a living on social media, which there's a lot of people out there who do, you could probably relate to this. I am 31, almost 32. I am married, and while I do have social media and I do try to promote things on social media, it's not how I make my money. It's not. So I'm in a very different part of my life. Right. So basically, Margot's in college. I don't know if she's an English major, but she sleeps with her English professor. Oh. He's married with kids. Oh. She ends up getting pregnant. Oh. And he was like, okay, well, you're going to have an abortion, right? Oh. And she was like, I actually think I want to do the right thing and I want to keep the baby.
I don't know if that's the right thing specifically, but we'll move on from that.
So she basically goes throughout most of her pregnancy by herself and has the baby. He's not there. And then she gets to a point where, because she's working as a bartender, I think it was, or as a waitress, and she can't find childcare. Like, nothing's available.
It's impossible.
Yeah, exactly. So her boss is like, okay, like, bring the baby in, like, I need you to work. And she was like, okay, like, I can't find childcare. And her boss is like, okay, if you can't find it by this date, you're fired.
Wow.
She gets fired. So she was like, okay, like, I really need financial help. And her mom, so she grew up with just her mom. Her dad had actually had an affair with her mom, and he was already married with, like, 5 kids. Yeah. Oh. So support from her mom isn't exactly there. And support from her dad, she hardly ever sees him.
Well, so it kind of sounds like this is following a pattern.
Oh, 100%. Oh. Yeah. So that's what, like, was kind of killing me. Like, are you fucking stupid? So, I mean, granted, it's one of those things where I was constantly asking myself, like, am I being too harsh? Like, am I too white privileged? Like, like, what? So, she does eventually ask her baby daddy for, like, $3,000. Because 2 of her roommates, she was living in a 4-bedroom apartment. And 2 of her roommates were like, okay, like, we're moving in 2 weeks. Like, good luck. And she was like, oh, fuck.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. And there was one other roommate who was like, I'm not moving, but we gotta figure this shit out.
Right.
So she asked her baby daddy for money to help pay the rent for a month while she's trying to figure out what the fuck she's gonna do.
Right.
Next thing she knows, she gets a phone call from baby daddy's mama saying, meet me here at this date and this time.
So the professor's father.
The professor's mother, yep.
What?
She gets brought to a lawyer's office and is basically told, we will give you $15,000 now. We will start a trust for your son where he can access it when he's 18. But you are no longer able to contact us and you're no longer able to go to school. And she was like, okay.
Oh my god.
I was like, what the fuck?
Oh my gosh. That's wow.
Yeah. So she's like trying to figure this shit out. And then she starts an OnlyFans account.
Oh no.
So
no.
Yeah. So the entire premise of the book is essentially her trying to make money off of OnlyFans. She
power to people that do that, but that's
there's nothing wrong with that. Like it is what it is. Like people are in different circumstances, but it's like she's trying to get creative with scripts so that more people would subscribe to her channel. All while this is going down, she gets a knock on her door one day, and it's her dad. And he moves in with her. Yeah. So what I will say is he really steps up. He, like, helps clean the apartment, helps with childcare as she is doing OnlyFans stuff. But it was, like, one of the things, and this is why I said, like, if you're in touch with social media, because they're like, oh, you need a TikTok, oh, you need an Instagram, and she's like, oh, what is that? So she has to learn all of this stuff, and then she does end up talking to someone pretty seriously, and she's just lying, like, almost everything, which I can understand to a certain extent.
Yes.
So, the end of the book, it does kind of speed up a little bit at the end. So, her dad apparently got high because he's an addict. Like, he'd just gotten out of rehab.
Oh.
Right before he moves in.
Oh.
And, so he apparently got so angry and he was high and she didn't know about it that he called her baby daddy multiple times saying, like, fuck you for what you did to my daughter. Next thing she knows, she's being brought in for, words. I'm blanking. Custody. There we go.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So the dad, like, filed for full custody.
Oh, no.
So she's dealing with that. And then as she's dealing with that, she's aware, and they're in mediation. She gets a call because she's out, the one night she's out away from her son because the guy she was talking to on OnlyFans comes to visit her, and she's spending a night with him, which I'm like, oh. She gets a call the next morning from her dad saying CPS is here.
No.
Well, it turns out when her mom realized she had OnlyFans, her and her new husband were not very happy about it, and her new husband's like, well, you should call CPS. And so she does.
This is her mom.
Yeah.
Oh,
so, I mean,
her
in the
mom's
end,
a winner.
Yeah, so in the end, like, CPS drops the investigation because she gets her shit together, and it was like, you came into my apartment under false pretenses the first time. Like, I'm trying to cooperate with you, but I'm not going to let you take advantage of me. Like, here's my lawyer's information. Here's a letter from him. So the CPS case gets dropped. Her and her baby daddy do come to some sort of agreement as far as, like, she's like, he's your son. Like, if you want weekly visitation with him, that's fine.
Right.
And then her dad ended up moving out because he has a relapse. So it's just...
Yep.
I couldn't relate to it.
No.
And that's why I'm like, fuck it, I'll give spoilers. I don't give a shit because it's not worth your time.
That's rough.
Yeah, so that was actually a Goodreads recommendation for one of the top anticipated books of the summer, and I was like, why?
Interesting.
So.
That's interesting. That's a lot of, I feel like that's a lot of conflicting topics there. Like, very, conflicting is not the word
It's all over the place.
Yeah.
And I mean, the very end, the guy that she met on OnlyFans was like, I'm not happy with what I'm doing. I'd like to work with you. And, like, a lot of it was very technical. So it's like, unless you're into a lot of programming for social media and how to get your name out there, like, it's kind of hard to understand.
Interesting.
So, like, they do end up working together as business partners. She agrees. But it's all done over a meal at Arby's.
Okay, power to her.
So.
Power to them both. That's fine.
Yeah. So that was Margot's Got Money Problems. Blech.
Interesting. And it sounds just very interesting. So, I actually finished 2 other books over my not vacation. But I'm not going to do a deep dive into them because we're actually going to do full episodes on both of the other ones. One of them being the last episode in the Housemaid trilogy. And which we're doing next month.
Yes.
Or next week, I should say. For this month.
Yeah, we're recording that next week.
Yes.
So excited.
It's very exciting. And then the other one is The Book Thief, which we're doing in...
We're doing...
August.
At some point soon. Yeah.
So coming up this
so that's
summer.
a new announcement because I don't think we've announced that yet.
No, we have not. So, haha, there's that.
It's okay. That's coming up.
Well, and then, of course, like, I finished listening to another one that we're doing for September.
Yep.
Which I just did the write-up for. But, again, not going to spoil it. And then I'm in the middle of listening to another one. But, again, not going to spoil it. But the one I am in the middle of listening to that I will talk about. So, again, I don't know a lot of it, but this is Wrong Place, Wrong Time by, let me double check, but I think it's Gilly Macmillan. Let me double check. Don't quote me on that. Wait.
Gillian McAllister.
Gillian McAllister, not Gillian McMillan. Gillian McAllister. Wrong place, wrong time. It is fascinating. Like, this is one of those time travel books that we start at day 0 and work our way back to day, like, minus whatever.
Minus?
Yes. Like, that's what I mean, is we start at day 0. Day 0 is the day that her son kills someone. Our main character's son kills someone. She witnesses it, and she goes to bed that night being like, my son is a murderer, and wakes up the day before the murder. And it backtracks, and so she tries to figure out, wait, I don't have any pieces of paper that I can't write on anything because it won't be there the next day. Because she's moving backward in time. So her future self would see it, her past self will not. And she's moving back through her past selves.
Oh.
And we figure out, and it comes to the point where she's meeting with someone who is a specialist in kind of time travel and is winning some sort of award for this. And she has to try and convince them, I am time traveling backwards, essentially. Why is this happening? How can I make it stop? Because she's losing her mind.
Yeah.
She's like, I can't talk to anyone. I can't say anything to anyone. I'm just basically living my life, and my son's a murderer. And, like, he's 18 years old, so it's not like he can get out of that any. It is wild to think about. It's so crazy. So that's actually a really fun one. And it gets to the point where it jumps back more than just a day at a time. It jumps back weeks, and then it jumps back years. Like, currently I'm on day minus 105.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, day minus 105.
Whoa, 105.
But so there's not 105 chapters, because this is now jumping back months at a time.
Okay.
Yeah, so it'll go like -1, -2, -3, -8, -36, or something along those lines. Actually, let me just look it up right now so I have the full actual picture.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so day -1, -2, -3, -4, -8, -9, -12, 13, 22, 47, 60, 65, 105, 144, 531, 783, 1095, all the way to 7,230. So I can't even do that quick math in my head. But that's many years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh,
and every single day that so I'll say this, she figures out that every single day that she jumps to is a day that is significant in stopping him being a murderer. Oh,
that sounds really good.
It's so good already.
Wow,
it is so good already. And again, I'm only at day 105.
And you're listening to it?
I'm listening to it on Libro FM.
Gotcha. Interesting.
Oh, it's so good.
Wow, we're going off with a bang, aren't we?
I know.
Wow. Okay, mind is blown.
Right?
I'll get to that one eventually.
Yes, you will. And you know what's even funnier? I just went to my house.
Yep.
And I looked at my bookshelf the other day. And I'm like, I haven't read that book. Or that book. Or that book. I want to read that book again. That one's coming with me. So I brought a stack of books back to my house from my parents' house. So I have an even longer to-be-read list.
To be fair, though, our husbands are into fishing, and they're buying more and more in fishing stuff. This is our fishing stuff.
That's fair, because I just got my fishing license to appease my husband.
Oh, I know how that works.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Fully know how that works.
Uh-huh.
For sure. With that said, wow, that was fun.
That was fun.
Oh.
Always a joy. But of course, I'm fighting with myself to actually, like, read books I want to read and reading all the articles from my class that I'm reading, too.
Yeah, how is finding that balance?
I hate it. I think I've told you this before, I like the audiobooks because on my 15-hour car ride, it was nice to have the audiobooks on the way back, because, of course, on the way down, my brother talked the entire time, which is fine. But that's who Tucker is.
Yeah.
It's not a big deal.
Oh my god.
Uh-huh.
Talked the other talked the entire time, so half of it was swear words?
Yeah, well, yes.
Oh, boy.
Yes.
Oh, boy.
Yes.
Oh, man. Well.
I love him. I love him dearly.
But sometimes he just...
Can talk a buzzard off a shit wagon. As my mother says.
Okay. Well, with that said, we will be coming out with our next monthly episode next week where... Yes, it is the Housemaid trilogy. Oh my gosh, so excited.
So good.
And if you liked what you're hearing, definitely please subscribe and follow on YouTube and Spotify because that is the best way to get the word out about us. And also please feel free to like us on Instagram at Books, Booze, Murder. And then of course,
brand new TikTok.
Whew, what's happening? At Books, Booze, Murder Pod. So until next time, bye-bye.
Bye.